Hello everybody, my name is Hunter Elliott and I'll be giving my speech on Henry Ford. Imagine life without cars. Our cities would be condensed and built upwards in skyscrapers and tall apartments instead of houses and rows. Or what about the shipment of goods? Goods would be shipped by steamboat, railways, and assuming that they had been invented, or by horse-drawn carriages. Let's just say without cars, our life would be so much different than what it is today. And we have one specific person in this world that we can thank for starting this, and that is Henry Ford. Henry Ford was born in Greenfield Township, Michigan on July 30th of 1863, one of five born of William and Mary Ford. Wikipedia provided a quote from Mr. Ford at the end of his life, stating that two things were for certain: that his father gave him a pocket watch, and he witnessed the operation of Nichols and Shepard's road engine. One day in his youth, on a hot summer day, he found that watch and he dismantled it and reassembled it. He gained a reputation of being one of the best watch repairmen in his town. Even as a young boy, he took fixing things as he was a natural mechanic. And by this, I mean he picked up on anything very quickly of what he wanted to do. Anything he tried to do, he really just picked up on it real quickly. With that being said, Ford left home in 1879 to be an apprentice and a machinist with James F. Fowler and Bros. Later on, he worked at Westinghouse to service their steam engines. As he learned, he tinkered around in his own shop at his house. He learned that it was not suitable to have a steam engine and a light vehicle as her steam wagon or tractor. He also decided that trolley wires were useless just because of the cost of the wires themselves. Because back then, people did not have that much money and people were poor back then. Not even adding on the cost of the carts and the tracks as well. Starting his journey of creating his own engine, he started by thinking, what could cost less? What can I do to build something that people will be able to buy and to be able to afford? In 1892, he finally completed his first motor car. It was a 2-cylinder, 4-horsepower motor with a 6-inch stroke and a 2-inch bore. The belt shifted by a clutch lever and speed was controlled by a throttle. It was unlike anyone had ever seen in their life. He drove that car over thousands of miles. Henry Ford ended up showing Thomas Edison his design and he gave his approval. He also encouraged Ford to build a second one. However, other people had come up with their own copy of Henry's automobile, but they were so much more expensive and yet the quality was way lower than Mr. Ford's. In response to the demand for cars, for Ford got to work to give the people what they wanted, but also something of quality too. Henry Ford very well took pride in what he wanted to do and how he built his stuff. One of the quotes that I looked up on Easy Spots was, every stuff he did, every quality trained tool that he worked with, he made sure he did it with compassion in everything he did when no one else was looking. In response to demand for cars, Ford got to give people what they wanted. So on October 1st of 1908, the Model T was introduced. Soon, the other car companies were copying him by having the steering wheel on the left side instead of on the passenger side. The transmission and engine enclosed in front, 4 cylinders that were cast in a solid block, and the suspension used 2 semi-elliptic springs. It seemed like Henry Ford's Model T was all people could talk about. Ford was eager to sell this to farmers that needed such an engine to help their businesses, and not just to help their business, to help them farm and help them go through all their crops and everything that they needed to do, to from transporting to even tractors that they were using. Ford was eager to sell his stuff to other people as well for a lot better price than everybody else was. But their supply could not meet the demand of his Model T. In 1913, Ford figured the answer to his problem. He introduced moving assembly belts that started the enormous increase in supply. Sales skyrocketed, and he provided hundreds of jobs for growing mechanics. After that, his independent dealership grew into a franchise of what we know today as Ford. After his independent dealership grew in the franchise, soon local car clubs began to pop up, custom body shops opened, and the economy benefited from the rivalry. From all of this you can see that Henry Ford's creation has played a big impact in the world today. They were able to customize their vehicles, from making them faster to making gas more prolonged as they were driving along. They were able to make vehicles nowadays that are up to 40 miles to the gallon. Even though gas prices are rising, Ford manages to always be on the top of the line of all their competitors. Thank you.